Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this side of the York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms held up for monuments, our stern alarms changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber, to the lascivious playing lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking glass, I that am rudely stamped, and want love's majesty, to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable, that dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak piping town of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to see my shadow in the sun, and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover, to entertain these fair well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain, and hate the idle pleasures of these days. Plots have I laid, inductions dangerous, by drunken prophecies, libels, and dreams, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate, the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, this night should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G of Edward's heirs the murderer shall be. Down thoughts down to my soul, here Clarence comes. Hello everyone, there was Richard III. I flubbed it twice that I recall immediately. The first one was sent before my time into this breathing world. I didn't say breathing. And the last one was something about a name. Welcome to the channel. This channel exists to talk about the story of the movie Critic, right? What actually occurred with the movie Critic. Right? I am the reason that Quentin canceled the movie Critic. And so we might go a little longer than usual. I think I'm going to use this video for promotion. Right? But the two positions of those. Right? I'm insane and he's evil. But that's right. These are the two positions. There's not three positions. There's only two. Right? So, typically, I've written a novelization of my experiences. Right? Typically, what I'll do is I'll introduce the channel. Right? I'll remind everyone why I'm here, why everyone's here. And then I'll do a reading from the novel, which I'm going to do. Right? And then I talk about the reading. Talk about the nature of reality. Talk about what it is that's occurring here. Right? So the novel's called Building a Coven. And I have so much that I could say about that. I'm not gonna go on and on about what Quentin Tarantino is into. Right? I can do that. It's no trouble. But we're going to talk about what's occurring, right? Psychic scientist, right? That's the idea, right? And so I thought I'd take this time setting out to discuss language. All of life is expressing a noble divinity that has a specific construct, every piece feeding into the whole. This is unequivocal, right? And this emerge is through a divine abstraction, right? A beautiful celestial zephyr. There's this line that lives perpetually, and it's called the horizon of your ignorance. Right? You can never circumvent it. it is. This is what we call the lesser mysteries. Right? And so before we ascend, right? Right? What occurs in that moment? Right? The divine consciousness in your mind's eye, in my mind's eye, Horatio, right, is seeking to express itself. Right? And so, inevitably, you end up at speech, right? Because man is designed according to the designer's will. Right? So, after we've mastered the body, inevitably you end up at the mind. So, cruder man, fundamental man, was all psychic. Right? That they had nothing but their intuition instead of like a crude idea of the sun roaming the endless forest. Right? But inevitably they could, right? An elephant can blow its trunk, they can, whoa! They can make a sound. I hear sound. Right? And so inevitably that leads to speech, right? Codification. Right? Does it mean something? Does it not mean anything? Both are valid intellectually. Of course it means something. Right? There's a story from Prague in perhaps the 14th century. I learned it from Vincent Bridges, rest in peace, a sage, wise man. And he said that there was a golem. And the golem operated by, I don't know if you can see this, they would write this letter, Aleph, spell out, onto his forehead. And then he would be awake and they could like ask him to do things. I want to say order them, but maybe that's not right, I don't know. And then they would mark away the Aleph, and he would go back to sleep. Right? This, like that story, right, is a perfect metaphor, right? It's a perfect fictionalization of what language is to man, right? That language, that the mind is the conjurer of thunder, right? And the first thing that we utter, right, the expression out through the mouth with the vocal cords, right? This is what I'm saying. That represents the highest levels of cognition, right? And so, right, the reason, right, to bring it into the channel now, right, the reason that you see, right, things written in Hebrew, I'm not fluent in Hebrew. I know that I should be writing things in Greek as well, right? The reason that you see, all the geometry. It's tapping into, right, language, right, is a plasmatic vortex of intention, right? That you say it, but you also think it while you say it, right? And this is where the highest philosophy comes from, right? Platonic forms, all things reside as idea, and they're breathed into creation by the Almighty. Right? And so, right, the method in which that we express our vortex of intention, right, is the same way that God does. Is the same way that abstract intellectual notion does. Right? And so, right, all instances, right, to bring it into the channel, right, I'm going to start reading on my novel soon, right? But everything that occurs, right, as far as what's between me and Quentin, right, is all rooted in that one idea, right? That life has an intellectual origin, and man, through his mind, right, can unfold the hologram, right? And through meditation, prayer, right? Stark raving madness, right, blind evil, right? Man can tap into the eternity in every cubic centimeter of space. Right? So, the book's called Building a Coven. We're writing the good parts now. And I'm kind of guessing, not really, but a lot of times it'll go back to the first page. But I'm in the street, right? I'm outside of Memphis, right? Walking each day south on the highway, inevitably towards my family, which is in North Alabama. But they're bombarding me constantly. It's a savage, legendary psychic siege. That's like what's going on between us. Right? There's never been anything else that's been occurring. And it just took me, right? I trusted him. And that was, right? He trusted me, right? Like that's like, there it is. Right? Anyway, before I begin, like the last thing that I'll say is that I'm not offering like lunacy, barking at the moon. You know? Like that's not, right? Any of my skeptics, right? Like anyone who says, "Oh, this guy's lost his mind," right? That's fine. That's fine. You're allowed to think that, right? I have a clear delineation of proof that you can like set into motion to prove me insane, right? And that's for Quentin to release the conversation between himself and Robert De Niro, right? That's all, right? If this has nothing to do with me, then that conversation has nothing to do with me, right? So, anyway, right? He's leading me to believe that his fake daughter Willow, his real daughter's a little girl, right? And this is all like it's a shallow conspiracy for him to say, "Look at my sweet little girl," right? Like he put all this psychic baggage on his little girl. I think that's something worth pointing out, 100%, right? Somewhere in one of those books of Moses, I want to say Genesis, but I'm not sure. He says it's 7 generations to absolve one sin, 8 generations to absolve one sin. Right? What happens if it involves someone who's young? What is that? Does that mean 14, or would it be 56? 4 times as many. Anyway. Building a coven, right? He has 2 women in his life, right? He led me to believe that multiple women were in love with me, right? My coven bombarded me with love as I listened to Hamlet. They both profess, Lisa and Willow, their devotion and love. Willow, though hearkening to an egregious lie she postulated some days ago in Los Angeles, tells me that everything she said to her friend, which she conjured to distract me while she fucked another man, is true. Though through our time in spiritual communion, she has come to appreciate how beautiful Hamlet is, and how sure she is, how sure they all are, that I am supposed to be the finest Hamlet this century ever recorded, ever born in America, and at the risk of arrogance, I agree. I love them, all 3 of them, though they each incite my frustration for one reason or another. Least of all Lisa, then Hazel, most of all Willow. The light diminishes minute by minute. It is 4:44, 3 4s. I took this year to riding through the last of the light. I believe the magic to be the highest through the golden hour. It approaches swiftly. I don't know what spells I seek to conjure at this special time. World peace, perhaps, the end of suffering, calm, a life I can be proud of, a family I can embrace, in body as well as in soul and spirit. But for now, the world suffers. My grandfather suffers war-torn Israel. I have no pride in my reflection, and my family all love me from afar. They all profess their adoration. They tell me how proud of me they are, that it is pouring out of me and so captivating. It has captured all of their hearts. Yet am I alone, hungry, destitute, broken, the pinnacle of Masonic initiation, the widow's son, down, quite down. All is not well. The light has all but gone. I now write by phone flashlight. As I listen to Manly Palmer Hall, the secret doctrine Willow tells me, I love you so much, I see how devoted you are to truth, to knowledge. They all discuss how I'm constantly pushing the frontier of my ignorance further towards oblivion. She says, I've always known. You're my man, my Merlin, my great cosmic love. I know I fucked everything up, it's all true. You hear so well, and I know she's right. I know we have forged together a wild psychic horizon. I have always known that. It is a product of her design, not mine. But she has everything in her power to sabotage it. But it is strong, too complete in its construction. I would never attempt to destroy it or deny its validity, and now she alleges she won't anymore either. Time. The great river of understanding. By its flow we both shall see where we belong. I love you, she says. It feels good. I don't trust it. Tears. The rivers of sadness bleeding from my ducts. Darkness reigns, headlights Doppler. Willow assures me, I won't betray you anymore. I do know you're right. Referring to my earlier comment on how she might incite her own homicide by her childish meanderings through the minds of others, she tells me, I have no desire to seduce a lesser mind or man, because she knows. She already has built a great crystal palace, a palatial estate, with the supreme interstellar alien, at the risk of arrogance. But she has called me this very recently, and when asked where I am from, I often say Saturn. It's true, she says, you hear so well. You see right through me, I love you, she cries, and it moves me. But my pain compels the notion to be recognized as fraudulent until their actions prove otherwise. And as I am 1,000 miles away, I do not see her rectifying her disgusting errors in the near future. But I will, she says. And I want to believe her. Oh, we've come too far. But for now, I do not. And it hurts to admit. Yours is a hero's journey. You have to go farther than anyone else. You know who this is, right? Clay. Yes, you're right. He says, this is why you suffer. And I am reminded of John Lennox, who says the crucifixion is not a blanket absolution, but a justification for all sufferings. Christ is the apex hero's journey. Hopefully mine is less dramatic. I'll say I am centrally located here. I wonder if I should go to this fork in the road. One way heading north, the other towards Interstate 40. Perhaps it is best to stand there and conserve my energy. Perhaps I can go north, perhaps east to Nashville. I have options here. At night I can come back here. I will have to continue north soon out of desperation and hunger, but tomorrow I think that is the play. We're all with you, Alistair says as he becomes emotional. He tells me, she's yours, she always has been. She just didn't realize it was different or how different it was. To which I counter, yes she did. You said it yourself. I'm the only one, therefore, by default, I'm prepared to see past it, I say. Because I gave her my heart, because she means something to me. And he says, you're so wise and young, how can it be this way? I know it is so connected to your belief you had this horrible disease, and you conquered your fear, you did it. You have been so good to her, and now we can be a family. And I tell him, don't get upset. But we both are, likely we all are. Endless rivers of tears. As I listen to Strange Design, Annabella tells me it's such a beautiful song, and that she knows I mean as much to Clay and Q as I do them. And I remind Lisa I haven't forgotten her. And I thank Annabella who tells me how special it is I brought us all together. Now I'm the only one who could have. And though alone, I've never felt more loved and complete. Alone. Not forever. For this last little while, God willing. Yes, I am assured I'm almost home. You're so wonderful, Annabella says, and Willow knows that everything you've said is true. You two have built this wild, special thing. I know she's right. Only a couple of fools would throw away such pristine connection and camaraderie and love. Though now it has blossomed out and includes Lisa, which means a lot to me as well. Willow assures me she loves her too. Lisa tells us, that she loves Willow as well. And as for Hazel, the outsider stealing looks within the crystal temple of the soul, my soul, time will tell. Though most anyone watching would say she is enamored, I never want to upset or deny anyone. I am reminded of a moment around this time last night when Hazel asked me if I was listening. I told her I was, and she said once I arrive, I'll have all of her. She'll do with me all these things I saw her doing with someone else those days ago. It is a great convolution, or rather, convocation of spiritual congress. I see it. Seems like we all do. A little better each day. Everything's good, Alistair says, as Willow decries, I need you. I've never needed anyone as much as I've always needed you. I see it so clearly now. I wish more than anything you were still here, so I could come to you and plant that sloppy open-mouthed kiss on you and tell you how sorry I am. I'm sorry, I love you, and I lament my place in the world. isolated in a broke-down mid-century dump along a serene, if forgettable stretch of highway northeast of Memphis in Braden, Tennessee. You're almost home, they say. Though I feel hope and luck have never been my mistresses, despair and suffering more like. I'm assured by Clay they're all with me, and that I am loved. I need you, Lisa tells me, just as much as Willow. I'll fight for you and be good to you, and I want that, like I told Willow, why wouldn't I? I promise to reciprocate, measure for measure. Yes, she says, God, I love you. I love you too, Lisa. I look forward to sharing the stage and my life with you. God damn it. I'm so lucky, she says. How can I be so lucky? And I don't see what is so special about me, though even as I write it, I know it to be a lie. I am a wizard, warlock, alien, but I'm grateful to her for the love she has for me. And as for Willow, I know we're always as close as any two people can be. And in time, our love will flourish as before. My grandfather, 13 hours into the future, well, 11 from here in Israel, visited when I closed my eyes to try to sleep. He reassured me as best as he was able. And though he was not outright successful, he is successful adjacent. I have always felt that he, Alistair, and his daughter live with truth and honesty in their hearts. And in truth, this is why Willow perplexes me so. Though I do not want to dwell on her selfishness, I know I am far from perfect. To who Alistair alleges, it's not true, you're closer than any of us, which I appreciate. And I appreciate my grandfather, whatever his name is. Though it doesn't matter, offering such kind appraisals of my writing and character. I am grateful he thinks of me, as I am grateful to them all. Show me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core, aye, in my heart of hearts, as I do thee. Something too much of this. Approaching 7 a.m., I awake and reflect on the turbulent nature of last night, how close they all felt, still feel. But I'm alone, and unsure how to proceed. Should I stay at the crossroads or keep walking? 24 miles to Brownsville. But here I have access to Interstate 40 as well as the highway. My shin still hurts, my feet as well. I think I should keep walking. There's nothing here, and therefore nothing for me. I can do 24 miles in 6 hours. Maybe a little less even, with stubborn vigilance. I'll let it warm up a little. The sun is shining bright. It will be nice soon. I'll stop there. So it's a novelization of my experiences on the psychic frontier with Quentin Tarantino. Right? We're going about the movie Critic. Right? This is the real story of the movie Critic. And I was laughing my ass off because got me good. Right? So they say that writer's block is the warring of like the desire for honest writing against shame, right? And so I could have not read those passages because it shows that like I was loving a phantoms, but that's good writing, right? But that's right. Like this is the cost, I guess. It cost me a little bit of my sanity, right? To hold Quentin Tarantino accountable. And now that we're talking about him specifically, right? I feel it incumbent upon me, right, to say that I suspect he's going to use my scene when he gets his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Burbank International Film Festival in September. That's his last fuck you, and then he'll pay me his money without suing him. Right? My point is that I was looking up everyone in his life yesterday, right, in a palpable way. Right? And the one that comes up pretty quickly is named Stacy Scher. And so she's real tied into that whole crew. She knows who I am, 100%. Right? And so IMDb says, right, that the continuing adventures of Cliff Booth is shooting right now. Right? And I thought that was all bullshit And it is bullshit. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's bullshit. There is no. Right? It's the movie critic. Right? So the joke that I was making to myself was like tax permanence. Is there, right? That's funny, right? It's frivolous tax audit. Pretty funny. Oh, because you said, here's the piece of paper where you said it was one thing, but then actually it's another thing. Right? And so, what I'll say about it, and I'm about to do it right now, just so that, like, there's no misconceptions here, right? What I'll say is that he, right, has done everything that he can to see that I expire. Can't stress that enough, right? And again, it's just like I said, right? There's the clear delineation to proving me insane, right? Release the conversation, right? Ask just anyone, with a camera in front of them. Ask Robert De Niro about me. That's all. Easy. Right? This is not a convoluted, like, oh, you have to talk to this one guy and then the other guy. Like, no, boom, them two on stage. Ask the director of Tribeca, whatever that woman's name is. Right? So, anyway. The scene's about a writer. The movie critic's about a writer. Right? And I can't yell it like I would normally because there's a lot of echo in this room. You know? But I'm going to do this and then we'll keep talking. So, it goes like this. Listen up! Got something to say. I want to make sure everybody can hear me. So I'm going to say it real loud. I'm upset. Been upset all day. And what I realize is that what I am concerned about, whether or not it actually occurred, really is inconsequential. It has sent me into such a dizzying anxiety. I feel compelled to make myself explicitly clear. I get the feeling last night somebody took their well-manicured hands, smeared their fucking DNA all over this book, opened it up and had a nice little read. I'm a writer. This book is an extension of my soul. When you touch it, you violate me. I have the right to my thoughts. You have no right. No one has permission to read this book. You have permission to move it. You do not have permission to read it. I owe you nothing. So that's it. That's the scene, right? But it's... No, that's not 10% what it is. I can't scream at the top of my lungs. I can't do that here. There's the fundamental level, right? That I would like destroy the microphone that's recording this video right now, right? But on a broader level, right? It would make my mother miserable, who's just out of frame here. And it would make me miserable too, because it's really loud. It's just not, right? Brad Pitt ain't got shit on me, right? And the joke that I was thinking in my mind is, oh, he cast Timothy Chalamet, which would be funny, right? If he called me. So let's talk about the pages. Right? Let's talk about the pages. That day, I remember the exact day. I walked to Bartlett. And I slept in front of a Kroger on the concrete. And then I walked another day, and I got to this house that I was staying in when I read a lot of what I just read. And I know that I read some of it the last time as well, and that's okay, it doesn't matter. Right? But it was a lot. It was a lot. That was like around the time that it became obvious to me, like, oh, he wants me to die. Right? And he'll always deny that. It's not like, he has no honesty. He doesn't operate that way. Right? And he hated me because he revealed himself to me, and then I didn't eat his ass. And so everything that he's done is just trying to destroy me in the same way. Right? Subtle, right? Graceful on some level in the beginning. But really sinister. Really, really ugly. Doesn't get... Right? So that was, again, like this was like maybe 15 days of like really aggressive, right? Where he was just burying me in it. Right? And so the grandfather, right? Quentin's father-in-law, who's been dead since 2022, 2021, Sitka Pick, and he was probably a really great guy. I have no doubt that he was a really charming man who lived close to God in his heart. That Daniela, like that they came together for a reason. Right? And I have no doubt Quentin charmed him in every way, in every sense. Taking care of his daughter, being a creative, interesting guy. Right? So my point, right? If anyone's been watching all of these videos, right? If we're just like talking about the whole thing, that first essay at the beginning of my novel is called On Magic. And it's maybe 8 pages, 10 pages, thereabouts, right? And so that, right? My point is that he's taking his ghost, right? And so what do I mean when I say ghost? Right? Does this guy just have a tinfoil hat on his head? Right? Does he just like love Alex Jones? Right? A ghost is the vestiges of memory, nothing else. You could say that everything has a kind of memory, and that's true, it must be true. 100% must be true, right? But is it enough to coagulate the full form at the magnetic body of a thing? Right? Trees can't do that. No. Every tree that Sitka Pick ever visited, right? It's all got that little magnetic sort of imprint upon it, right? And vice versa. Right? But there's only, maybe 4 to 10 people, right, who have the psychic capacity to manifest a whole person's visage and physiognomy in the mind. Right? And so what I'm saying is that, like, if his father-in-law was well-adjusted psychologically, and he wanted for nothing, he was a famous guy, right? The maestro, Sitka Pick, right? That if there was nothing wrong with his immortal spirit, then he was gone, right? Then he had moved on, right? That the condition of his knowing, the phenomenon of his knowing, was recorded back into the Almighty. And he, right, became one with the Almighty once more. And by their behavior, which you can always deny, right, they've brought a piece of it back. Right? That this is unequivocal. There's nothing else to say about that. Right? Is it good, is it bad? Doesn't matter. It occurred. Right? And he'll always deny, of course. He'll always deny, what can I say? Like he's never gonna fucking reconcile with me. Right? There's never gonna be a point, right, where the two of us embrace each other and say, oh yes, brother, like you're a man, I'm a man. Right? And so, in that same way, right, Willow was all bullshit. His daughter's a little girl, right? And that was always his design, to be able to say, look at my cute little girl. Like she's so sweet and precious. How can this man say these things? Right? Really sick, base stratagems, right? But my point is that
is that now he's created this condition. I suppose I should stop. You know, I've been going forever. Right, that he went out of his way, right? Like, I've done nothing but try to speak plainly with this man, right? And he brought WME as well as Sony and everyone around him into this subtle occult conspiracy that I'm one of a handful of people in the world that could even explain to you in a meaningful way, right? But that's why we're here now, right? So, I suppose I should leave you with some Shakespeare. I've been thinking music, but I don't really know what to play. Try to see it my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can't go on? I see it your way, at the risk of knowing that our love could soon be gone. We can work it out, we can work it out. Look at what I'm saying, you get it wrong and still you think that it's alright. Look at what you're saying, we can talk it out and get it straight and say goodnight. We can work it out, we can work it out. Life is very short and there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friends. I have always thought that it's a crime, so I will ask you once again. Try to see it my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can't go on? Why you see it your way, at the risk of knowing that our love can soon be gone. We can work it out, we can work it out. So see what's good in your life. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think. I'm insane, he's evil, right? Meditate, be good to each other, charitable works. God bless.